everyone. Welcome to LexTalk World Talk Show presented by ClickAway Creators. Today, we have Mr. Solomon Okedara with us. Solomon is a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, is a practicing legal practitioner and researcher with over 15 years post-call experience and expertise in litigation and non-litigious areas of practice. Solomon has a special bias for human rights, data protection, privacy, digital identity, access to internet and online expansions. He is armed with a peerless ability in creative legal research and analysis, delivering impressive results in review of laws, legal principles, and standards. Solomon is a partner at Solomon Okedara and Company and co-founder Digital Rights Lawyers Initiative, a nonprofit NGO that focuses on promotion and protection of digital rights through litigation, advocacy, research, and training. Thank you so much, Solomon, for being on the show today. We are pleased to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Ben. It is a pleasure for me here.
Pleasure is all ours, and we would definitely be expecting to have a very exciting and interactive session today. So without any further ado, let me ask you the first question. Please brief us about your journey so far as a legal professional.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Yes, just like you stated in my bio, I'm actually 15 years of practice experience as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. So that actually means that, of course, I actually go to the courtroom to practice advocacy. And of course, after the courtroom, I sit that in the office to attend to non-litigious matters. Now, but pretty much for me, it has been an exciting journey and with so much focus and interest on public service. Now, when I mean public service, I mean the part of law that goes after protection of people's rights. Now, it used to be extremely, essentially human rights, but now we are talking about digital rights. As long as people's rights are to be protected, whether within the courtroom or outside the courtroom, then my passion comes in.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you so much for giving that quick brief about yourself. And that's absolutely right. If it's within the courtroom or outside of the courtroom, the passion remains right at the top. Thank you so much for letting us know a little bit more about yourself. So Solomon, without any further ado, let's quickly jump on to the next question. And this talks about the pandemic. We all have seen this. No one was exception, right? So the pandemic saw some courts moving towards more remote proceedings and availability. In your opinion, is this sustainable and a possible way to increase access to justice?
Great. So the exciting thing is that when pandemic, the COVID happened, now many of us felt COVID-19 thrust us into the future many years. Now, because now I can tell you, let me give you an example. In Nigeria, now the first state that started the virtual hearing is actually not even the state that many people would expect to actually start, virtual hearing. For example, here, Lagos is actually that state where everything happens in Nigeria. But then Lagos wasn't the first state to start virtual hearing. It is Borno. Borno is actually a state in the far northern Nigeria. Now that state actually adopted, virtual hearing for a criminal proceeding. And after that, many other states across the length and breadth of Nigeria, have actually adopted virtual hearing. And of course, we have had lots of it across Africa. Now, so the point is this, if you look at it, that actually has enhanced access to justice. There are lots of instances where the judge is prevented from actually reaching the courtroom to preside over a sitting. But with the possibility of sitting before a computer and connect to all parties in the matter, then trial or proceeding can go on. So that has enhanced judicial proceedings all over the world. Now, the question of sustainability, for me, I think it is more hinged on the political will, of the government. Now, whether we like it or not, sustainability of virtual hearing in judicial proceedings is not much of the willingness of the stakeholders, particularly the judicial officers and council, but essentially about the political will of the government to put in place all the infrastructure required. So for me, if we can actually guarantee the political will of the government, then I can boldly say that it is sustainable. Because beyond being sustainable, we realize that it has enhanced access to justice. Now it has brought, judicial proceedings, it has brought justice to the people. Now, a good number of lawyers in most countries across the global south have been able to attend judicial proceedings without leaving the comfort of their room or even office. So for me, I think it has actually, it has shortened the distance of commuting between your office and the courtroom. It has saved money. It has actually even heightened the hope of the people, of the common man in justice delivery system.
That's absolutely right, Solomon. And in my view, because I keep talking to a lot of legal professionals globally on this platform, and this is what we keep hearing, that this has definitely has helped for people who were looking for justice, and due to pandemic, there was a gap. So instead of getting those cases or those hearings being backlogged, it has really helped the judicial system to keep continuing the daily work routine. But at the same time, I also keep asking, so there is a follow-up question on the same one that I have for you. In Africa, if I talk about particularly Nigeria, what do you think? Do you have the required systems and do you have the infrastructure is ready for the virtual hearings? Can this go along the way? Or do you think there is still a lot of work that needs to be done there?
Very well, just like I said, that it is more, of the political will of the government to, be ready to put in place the required infrastructure for sustainability of virtual hearings. Now, because see, virtual hearings doesn't come cheap. Now, we need to talk of power. We need to talk of the computing devices. We need to talk of, manpower that will manage all those facilities. Now, we are talking about countries where we are still battling with some other basic things. We are still battling with good roads. We are still battling with unemployment and all of that. So we need a government, or we need governments across Africa to actually rise up to the challenge and say, okay, we need to get this done. Now, for example, a country like Kenya in East Africa is doing amazingly well. It is making, the sub-Saharan Africa proud, when it comes to virtual hearing or adoption of ICT for justice delivery system. I'm aware Rwanda is actually doing its bit too. Now, so of course, Nigeria has a long way to go, and that's a country with a very huge population. That's a population of over 200 million people. It has a very long way to go. Now, so as long as the required infrastructure can be put in place, then we can sit back and actually watch, the justice sector move at the speed of light.
Absolutely, that definitely makes sense. And thank you so much for sharing the ground root, the first-hand experience from Nigeria on this particular question. I'll quickly move on to the next one, Solomon, here. This one talks about how do you rate the current legal system drive towards encouraging access to justice? Do you think there is a tangible movement in closing the justice gap?
Sincerely, I think there have been commendable progress, across the world, particularly across the global south. Now, and starting from home, there's an adage that says charity begins from home. So, for example, earlier in my response to the first question, I cited a particular northern state in Nigeria where that first adopted virtual hearing for a criminal proceeding. Now, to a very large extent, there have been progress. Yes. Now, we are not where we used to be. But then, if we will look at it, vis-a-vis the required progress or the projected progress, particularly we're talking about the sustainable development goals, if we talk about SDG 16, that talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions, then we still have a whole lot of way to go. So, and to achieve this, I think importantly, the government needs to put in place the required infrastructure, the education required on the part of the judicial officers. The stakeholders in the justice sector really need to be educated and re-educated. You cannot serve the realities of today with the tools of yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Africa, we still have judges who are not ICT compliant. Mm-hmm. We have judges who cannot even use computer. We have judges who cannot even use personal. When you have such judges presiding over matters in 2021, then the space or the pace of justice, sector will be as dragging as you can ever imagine.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, but yeah, there's some new information available for us and for our viewers as well. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on that particular question, Solomon. I'll quickly move on to the next one, and this one talks about the era of legal technology. We have seen, new technologies coming into the, which are kind of trying to, improve how the judicial system and the justice system really works. But at the same time, as a legal professional, as a lawyer, and as a partner at the law firm, what are the most commonly used tools for you, Solomon?
Oh, great. So for me, I think the first one will be my Microsoft Office tools. I'm talking about my Word, my Excel, my PowerPoint. Those actually come, handy for me. I actually have them on my computer, on my phone, and all my devices. So for me, they come very handy and they're quite useful for me. So the next one will be my cloud storage platforms. Now, with the technology, with the access to cloud storage platforms, we know that even when you lose your computer or your phone, then your information are not lost. You can still always access them. And that makes it very interesting. Now, of course, video sharing application. Now, you are sitting down in New Delhi, India, and I'm, sitting down here in my office in Lagos, Nigeria. Yet we are connected. That's powerful. That's amazing. And that's actually, quite a number of business meetings are being held on video sharing application. So for me, that's actually another. You have Zoom, you have Teams, you have all of them. So those three are quite very important for me, and they'll be quite helpful in discharge of my business.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm sure they're helpful in your business as well. Talking to your clients overseas or in different cities, it makes it so easier when you have people, it feels like that we're sitting in front of each other. So the technology made this possible for us sitting in two different corners of the world. All right, Solomon. So I'll quickly move on to the next question with that. And here, let's talk about the digital identity a little bit. So to what extent do you consider digital identity is important in today's economy?
Yeah, digital identity for me, I would say is the eighth wonder of the world. We were told there were, at the time we were told there were 7 wonders of the world. Now, but today, I would rather say digital identity is the eighth wonder of the world. Why? Because this is actually a phenomenon that makes it easier for us to live, transact, connect, and do almost everything we could do without taking a step from a particular location. Now, for example, financing has become so easy, with the aid of digital identity. Now, in most nations around the world, even including across the global south, now with your national ID, you can access loan. Now, when you access loan, you can be tracked. Even in nations, including Nigeria, where they have multiple IDs, whether foundational and functional IDs, the moment you actually submit a particular ID to an institution, now with that ID, you can be tracked. So now accessing amenities from the government and private sector becomes easier. Now, today, we can dispense with, carrying about cash. All I need to do is take my phone and, of course, access a particular app and do the transaction. All of this is made possible with digital identity Because as long as a service provider, you can identify me, then we are good to go and transact. So for me, digital identity is actually the bedrock of a sustainable digital economy.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I think I have one more question on the digital identity for you. But before that, I have a follow-up question on what you just said. Just one quick doubt that comes to, I think, and it's a very layman question as well, that when it comes to digital identity, there can be multiple identities for a human, right? So how do we kind of really tackle that problem? Because having multiple identities can also be a trouble problem.
Very good. Now when we are talking about digital identity, now oftentimes you get to to have them grouped into two major categories. You talk about the foundational identity and you talk about functional identity. For example, we're going to use an example of Nigeria. Nigeria has a foundational identity called the NIN. The NIN is an identity that is accessible to all Nigerians. Now, but we have some other functional identity. There's one called BVN. That BVN is identity required for financial transaction across Nigeria. And I must tell you today, of course, it is not, recently we gathered that Nigeria has only 40 million bankable or 40 million banked, population. What does that mean? Out of 200 million. Now that actually means that there are a whole lot of population that are not banked population. Now, those people do not have BVN. They do not have that functional, ID. So when you look at it, that's a functional ID. So, but what we are saying is this: it is very important for every nation to have all its citizens and legal residents captured under the umbrella of foundational ID. With your foundational ID, you don't have to know how to drive, to access driver license. You don't have to know to be willing to travel, to have international passport. But as long as you're a Nigerian, as long as you're a legal resident, then you will have access to what is known as NIN. So with that solves the problem of multiple IDs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that really answers my question. Thank you so much for that one. So with that, we come to the last question of the session. And here, since you are an expert on digital identity, what factors would you consider to be important for sustenance of a working digital identity?
Yeah, so for me, this is actually an area I'm quite excited about, and I throw in my passion to it. Now, the first thing is there must be a sustainable legal framework. Now, and here we need to have a comprehensive data protection legislation. We need to have comprehensive cybersecurity, legislation, and rules, that with which those legislation will have, application, throughout the digital identity system. Another one which is fundamental for me, there must be an efficient redress mechanism. So if, for example, as a citizen, I actually allege a violation of my right to privacy on my digital ID, I should be able to seek redress efficiently. Now, so when you have a system where seeking redress is expensive or is actually at the exclusive preserve of the rich in the society, then you will not be able to have a sustainable digital identity system. So for me, those two are very, very important. I mean, there are quite a number of factors, but I would rather want to have a very sustainable legislative legal framework and redress mechanism. So when something goes wrong, then I know that there is actually a place to go to where my allegation can be ventilated, addressed, and I can actually get justice.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, that really answers the question in the most sweetest manner and kind of helps understand everyone about those important factors. So Solomon, with that, we come to the end of this quick session. Thank you so much for sharing all those great insights with us. We would love to have a chat again with you on some other trending topics in the legal fraternity, in the global legal fraternity rather, and we would be looking forward to seeing you at the conference as well. So thank you so much for your time once again.
The pleasure is mine, Vane. I appreciate your time and I look forward to some other time with you.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, all our participants, for spending your time on this video. If you like this chat, please share this video with your friends, your colleagues, your known ones who might get a lot of help and information from Solomon's experience. For now, this is Win signing off.